Hello everyone, Tawana Michelle here. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you have been here before. If you don't know who I am a psychotherapist and recovery coach, and I help people who are struggling with codependency, narcissistic abuse, and interpersonal trauma. And what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is the victim mentality. How to identify if you have a victim mentality, how it keeps you stuck, and what you can do to get out of it. So let me start off by saying, when we look at the definition of a victim, which I'll give you that, I wrote it down. I want to be clear that you are a victim, okay? The definition of a victim is someone who has been harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or an event or other action, and also a person who is tricked or duped. So you are probably thinking, especially if you have been in a relationship that was abusive, or you have been in a relationship with a narcissist, you have been both harmed, likely, be it emotionally or mentally or physically. You have definitely been tricked or duped in some way. So yeah, you are a victim. I am not in any way saying you are not a victim. You are. But what I'm going to talk about is the difference between being a victim and maintaining and holding on to a victim mentality, thinking like a victim. Okay. So that's what I'm going to talk about, because it really does keep you stuck in your situation. I'm going to talk about how being a victim is harmful for you. And, we end up sort of re-victimizing ourselves when we stay stuck in that victim mode. One of the main problems with thinking like a victim is that you feel incredibly hopeless about your life and about your situation. And of course, the problem with feeling hopeless is that you see no way out. And that can be a very dangerous place to be. That can lead to depression. It can lead to thoughts of not wanting to be here anymore, thoughts of wanting to end your life, just feeling like nothing is ever going to get better. But when you're thinking like a victim, and some examples of that might be, this is never going to change. I'm never going to get better. People are always going to have control over my life. I'm always going to be abused. People are always going to hurt me. Everything bad always happens to me. You see this absolute all or nothing type of thinking. Victims have people with victim thinking, who are victims, have these thinking errors. A lot of it is all or nothing. My life is either good or bad. It's really black and white. The world is either fair or unfair. I am either treated perfectly or I'm abused. And that sort of may be the case. That the thing is, when you've been in a relationship with someone who has been abusive to you, and you have been like emotionally manipulated, and you have developed a trauma bond to this person because of these hot and cold actions, you sort of look at the world in that way, or at least relationships in that way, because that's what they're like. It's either good or it's bad with this person. But the problem is, when you start looking at your life like that in general, things that happen to me are either good or bad, you sort of get stuck in this place where you feel like you have no control over those things. And if the bad things happen, they happen. If the good things happen, they happen. And I don't have anything to do with that. That's just how the world works. That's how the universe works. I let me tell y'all, I'm guilty of almost all of the things that I talk to you guys about. I struggled with this victim thinking a lot. And sometimes I still have to catch myself when I'll say things like, the universe really has it out for me, right? The universe has really wanted me to suffer. And I sort of see myself, there was one time when I saw my purpose in life as suffering. That was what, was my fate. That was what my God, my universe had in store for me. And there were reasons attached to that, but still I believe ain't nothing I can do about it. I am here to suffer. so that I can know suffering and I can help others who feel that. Well, I have learned that I don't have to suffer. And that's the thing about changing your victim mentality. Yes, you are a victim. Yes, if you don't get help in getting out of that state, you can get to a place where you feel very hopeless and you feel like I don't have any control over my life at all. And so because you feel like you don't have control over your life, these things, these negative encounters continue to happen, and it feels as if all of these things are being done to you and you have absolutely nothing to do with it. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not saying that you have anything to do with any abuse that you've ever experienced. The abuser 100% at fault. But we do want to look at how we ended up in these situations. What are the things that make us stay? Do we want to stay stuck in, and I'm not just talking about abusive situations, I'm talking about any situation in your life where you feel unhappy, where you feel like you don't want to be there and you feel trapped. If you have a victim mentality, you might stay stuck there and you might get comfortable, which is another part of the victim mentality. It's comfortable, it's familiar, it's something that, to be honest, can get some people attention, affection that they wouldn't normally get, an excuse to not show up for life, an excuse to not have to make any difficult choices and take some steps to get your life in order and to improve your situation. So this victim mentality not only can have you feeling hopeless and like you have no control over your life, but it also gets to a place of comfort for you, and also something that can become sort of a crutch. And again, like I said, I struggle with that, and there were times when I felt like, why bother changing anything when bad things are going to happen to me anyway? Why even put forth the effort? Well, that was an easy way out. That was a cop out. And I knew that I didn't want to live the rest of my life that way. I did not want to live the rest of my life in emotional pain and suffering. So I had to let go of seeing myself as a victim, understanding that I am, but that I don't have to continue to be. And that's what changing your victim mentality is about. It's about knowing that, okay, this happened, these bad things have happened. Yes, I have been harmed. Yes, I am technically a victim, but I don't have to stay in that place. And I want to move to a place of surviving first and getting to a place where I'm both physically, emotionally, and mentally and spiritually safe, and also thriving and having a better quality of life. So those are the things that you want to take a look at when you're trying to figure out, am I thinking like a victim here? Do I have a victim mentality? And if you do, I'm going to give you some steps that may help you sort of break out of that. The first thing you want to do to sort of change your victim thinking is you have to really make that decision to let it go. It has to be a conscious decision. We're not always aware that there are benefits of thinking like a victim. And I've already mentioned some of those benefits, the comfortability, not really having to show up, not having to make any hard decisions, just being in a place that feels familiar, getting some of the attention you may not ordinarily get, and just having a what feels like a good excuse to stay stuck in your situation. But you have to get to a place where you recognize, okay, I do recognize that there are benefits, but the risk of staying in this victim mentality completely outweigh the benefits. When you look at the rest of your life and the type of life that you want to have, yeah, it may be scary to get out of a comfort zone and to face a world that feels unsafe and unfamiliar to you. But the thought of staying stuck in your pain, your fear, I would think is probably scarier, probably more uncomfortable, probably something that you would rather give up than you would your comfort of holding on to your victim mentality. So the first thing you have to do is you really have to make that decision and say, I really don't want this. I want to let this go. I don't want to think like a victim anymore. It is keeping me stuck. I want control over my life. I want my life to get better. I don't want to be in a situation with someone who is mistreating me. I have the right to seek better. And that's another thing. Victim mentality, victim thinking, it impairs your self-esteem, your self-confidence. You feel like you can't do any better. You don't deserve any better. And so you have to get to a place where you recognize that you're stuck in that victim thinking and you want out. The second step to changing your victim thinking is that you really have to allow yourself to grieve. You have to feel your feelings, okay? Once you make that decision that I want to get out of my victim mentality, that means you're going to have to face some stuff. You know, looking at what other people have done to us and holding on to that and feeling bad about that, just focusing on that alone is sort of a distraction from dealing with the internal process, the internal feelings associated with that. So if I am not focusing on what the universe is doing to me, what this person is doing to me, and I decide I really want to think differently and get back control of my life, well, I'm going to have to be willing to make space for some feelings to come up that are uncomfortable. Like I said, when you let go of your victim thinking, you're going to feel a little uncomfortable and you're going to have some feelings that are going to come to the surface. Now, you have to allow yourself to feel that. You might feel some sadness, some fear, some anxiety, some grief. You have got to grieve. As I said, you are a victim. We are changing our victim thinking. It does not mean that you have not been victimized. Because you have been victimized, because you have been harmed, you are grieving a former self. You are not the same person you used to be. You don't want to stay stuck as the person you are in this victim, helpless state. And as you begin to do the work, you're going to transform into someone new. And so you're grieving your former self. You're grieving your former life. You're grieving what could have been, what should have been. You're grieving the loss of that relationship that you have to let go of if you no longer want to be a victim. You're grieving the loss of that situation, that family member, whatever it is that you have to remove from your life if you no longer want to be a victim. So you can't just say, okay, I don't want to be a victim anymore and I'm going to get out of this. No, you have to do some of the healing work and you have to allow yourself to get in touch with those emotions and grieve. Because if you don't grieve and feel those feelings and move through that, you can't really make space for anything else to come in. And I'm talking about emotions. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is identifying and changing the way that you think. Again, if you don't allow yourself to grieve and feel those uncomfortable emotions related to your situation, you're also going to have some preoccupied thoughts about it. And these two steps, changing how you think and dealing with your feelings, will kind of work hand in hand. But it's really important to grieve before you're able to sort of think differently about where you want to take your life, because your grief is going to get in the way of that. So you want to change how you think and give up this faulty thinking. When we think like a victim, we tend to discount a lot of the positive things about our lives. We tend to focus mostly on the negative things that happen to us. We minimize positive things about ourselves and about our lives. We tend to think in distorted ways about ourselves and that we are unworthy and that we don't deserve anything better and that we deserve to be victimized. And so you want to identify those thinking errors and work on changing them. We also tend to use emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning means if I feel it, then it must be true. If I feel like the universe is screwing me, then it's got to be true. if I feel like everyone wants to hurt me, if I feel like all of these bad things happen to me, then it's because they do. So with emotional reasoning, we completely avoid looking at logic and fact, and we just focus on the emotions, and we jump to conclusions, which is another thinking error, based on our emotional reasoning. So we want to be able to look at how we're thinking and challenge those thoughts, and be able to look at our lives more realistically. And again, you're going to need some help to do this. Get with a good therapist that can help you. Also, you want to seek a lot of help from your support system, because sometimes we hold on to this victim thinking because it's like, if I think like a victim and I hold on to that, that means it was real. And I need people to know this is real. What happened to me is real. Acknowledge that this happened to me. You do need that. You need that for yourself. You need it validated back to you for you. You need it mirrored back to you. You need that. So reach out to your support system so that you can tell your story when you need to tell that to a supportive person, and they can validate your experience. Also, seeing a therapist, a life coach, they can validate your experience. So you don't have to hold on to it so that you'll believe that it's real and others will believe that it's real. Because when we are in situations where we're victimized, the person who is the perpetrator almost always denies that they're harming you. And so you want to hold on to it because you need someone to know that it's real. Reach out to your support system, get the validation that you need for your experience, get with a good therapist or a life coach, get with a support group, and they will help you with those things. And the last step that I'm going to give you about changing your victim mentality, which this is something you can also do with your therapist or life coach and even support system, is creating an action plan and executing that. What is it that you want your life to look like? How do you want it to look? What steps do you need to take to get there? What is it that you want to work on so that you can feel like you have more control over your life? And get whatever help you need to make that happen. And that could be, if you're with a therapist, that might be what we call a treatment plan. It might be if you're doing it with a coach, or even with a supportive person, a friend, a family member. You might just be writing out some steps and writing a to-do list every day and kind of going over that. And sometimes just those little steps help you feel more in control. But you want to create a plan of action so that you can get your life back in control and know that you are a participant in your life. Your life is not happening to you. It's happening around you, and you have more control over some things in your life than you believe that you do. So you want to come up with a plan of action that can help you take the steps to get there. For instance, if you are in a situation where you feel like, okay, I'm still being victimized, I need to get out of that situation. Okay, well, have someone help you come up with a plan, a safe plan, because you need a safe plan. What do I need to do to get out of that situation? Okay, what resources do I need? Do I need transportation? Do I need financial resources? Is there, a shelter that I need to go to? Do I have support at a church? Am I going to go and stay with a family member? Whatever it may be, but you're going to come up with an action plan. And some of these will be tangible things that you will do and that you will need. And some of these will be intangible things that you'll need to do, such as work on improving my self-esteem, saying affirmations, changing the way that I think. Like, all of these small steps can make a difference in how you feel about your life and whether or not you have control over it. So that's all I have today, guys. I just wanted to give you that information because I think it's very helpful. It's helped me in my healing journey, just learning how to think differently and not to see myself as a victim, and knowing that if I want more control over my life, then I can achieve that with the help of my support system and others, such as therapists who I've worked with in my life. So you have been victimized. You are a victim, but you do not have to stay stuck in victim thinking. You can get your life back and get your power back. Okay. So thank you guys for watching and subscribing to my channel and liking this video and sharing it out with others. It helps me a lot when you do that. It helps the algorithm, which helps me grow my channel, and I can get these messages out to more people who need to hear them. So again, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye.